So by now, I'm sure you have heard of a vampire facial, but did you know that there are other vampire treatments out there? Just in time for the spooky Halloween, Dr. Chaffoo is here to explain. Dr. Chaffoo, vampire facial, one of my favorite things that I do to my face.
Right. You know, the thing is, Shally, we make a number of natural growth factors in our what we call PRP, or platelet rich plasma, and that's a part of our blood that's clear and serum-like. And all of those growth factors can have really regenerative effects on our skin, but obviously also on our hair follicles, interestingly enough.
For anybody that doesn't know what the vampire facial is, where did it get its name? What is the vampire facial?
Well, it probably came from the concept that you're drawing a patient's own blood and you're manipulating or spinning that down, so to speak. So that's probably where the original terminology developed.
Okay, and then they put it on your face, and then they use a needle.
A little micropen, exactly. That just stimulates, just goes far enough into the dermis to allow that plasma to get down into your skin.
I've been very familiar with it in the face, and it really does make such an incredible difference a few days, especially afterwards. But I didn't know that the vampire-ish thing has other procedures that you can do.
It does, you know, especially in hair loss. Hair loss affects, you know, millions of men and women. In fact, you know, 40% of men by the age of 40 begin to lose hair, 50% at 50, 60%. And we see a lot of women in our practice, as many physicians do, who have hair loss. It's a significant problem. And unfortunately, many people aren't aware that there are some, you know, natural treatments, as you were in vampire, or actually we call PRP, or platelet rich plasma.
Okay.
That's what we're using in the scalp to stimulate the hair follicles.
So you do that in the scalp now,
yes.
And then your hair grows back?
Yeah, well, actually what we've seen can happen is not only do we see those thinner hairs that are undergoing the process of miniaturization that ultimately are going to fall out, we can stimulate those. We can stimulate the hair to get a little thicker, a little bit more denser. So it is a natural treatment to improve hair loss in men and women.
Okay, we have, I think, a photo to show what this vampire hair looks like. So tell me exactly what it does.
So it does several things. I mean, it increases blood flow to the hair follicle itself. You'll see that there's actually an increase in the shaft size. There's triggering of the growth phase of the hair follicle called the anagen phase. So there are factors that control the hair cycle, improve the hair cycle, and we see a decrease in hair loss. So it's not, Shally, it's not something for the bald scalp. So if you have an area where there's no hair growth at all, injecting PRP into that area is probably not going to stimulate hair follicles.
Okay.
But in those where it's thinning, and especially oftentimes women, their hair loss tends to be more diffuse, in those areas you can wake up hair follicles by injecting the scalp directly in the region of what we call the bulb area, where the stem cells live in the hair follicle, to stimulate those to go into the growth phase.
Any downtime associated with this?
So you're a little sore the day of the procedure. We tell patients don't wash your hair that night, but the next day you can go back to your usual activities.
Interesting. We learn something every day. Dr. Chaffoo, thank you for being here. Good to see you as always.